It's pretty obvious that people running the largest companies within the video game industry wouldn't want Stop Killing Games to be successful. They haven't really been checked up until this point. Yeah, their predatory monetization systems have been called out by gamers, but they still implement them. Yes, up until this point, gamers have still been buying live service titles or really just renting licenses to access games. But while Stop Killing Games has hit its 1.4 million target, we now have CEOs coming out and saying, oh, this is just super unrealistic, guys. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, Stop Killing Games has been going super well so far. It has hit a bunch of its goals. So many gamers online are talking about it. And it really does seem like it could be successful. I, of course, am always going to be cautiously optimistic. We are talking about an industry that brings in hundreds of billions of dollars a year, and these companies will fight against this tooth and nail, and they will always try to convince people that it's not that serious. I mean, even the lobbyist group, Video Games Europe, which has board members from companies like EA, Ubisoft, Warner Brothers Games, Epic, tons of companies, has come out and said that you guys are wrong. You don't know what you're asking for, even though we definitely know what we're asking for. You would have just not scam us out of our money. But now we have the Ubisoft CEO addressing Stop Killing Games, and it seems that they're panicking, which isn't particularly shocking because they don't want Stop Killing Games to be successful. They don't care about respecting their customer base. They don't care about actually treating us like people who are purchasing a product. They just view us as walking wallets, and it will always be that way. But the EU consumer rights campaign Stop Killing Games reached its 1 million signature goal earlier this month, snowballing out from Ubisoft's shutdown of racing game The Crew in 2024. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot was asked to respond to the movement at a recent shareholders meeting, and while that response was tentative, it wasn't a complete dismissal. Now, at this shareholders meeting, they basically admitted that they are in a state of disaster. They admitted they didn't understand why Star Wars Outlaws failed. They basically just said, oh, it's the Star Wars brand fault, which I do partially believe is the case. I think that it's one piece of the puzzle, but I also think that it was just a very buggy and broken and undercooked game, and they don't want to admit that, so that's a major problem. We also know that Ubisoft stock is nearly at an all-time low, which is abysmal for them, and Yves Guillemot's son is actually now a co-CEO of their subsidiary, which I don't even think that is a smart move, given he was basically canceled back in 2021 for the BLM in-game situation. Like, I just don't think that that is what they need for their image right now. But continuing on, it says, regarding the petition, we operate in a market, he said, as noted by GameFile. And whenever we release a game, we provide a lot of support for that game. Yeah, don't tell that to the X-Defiant players. We also provide a lot of services to make sure that game is accessible and remains playable 24/7. He also says that the company provides information regarding the game and how long the game can be played, though he doesn't go into specifics about how those notices work because they don't work. Okay, it's like with Concord, for example. That game survived for 12 days and then they just decided, you know what, we're going to shut the servers down. Ubisoft can do the same thing. Now, with a game like X-Defiant, they did give some warning, but they still, in theory, could have just shut it down whenever they wanted, and they don't want to admit the control that they have, how they could just do that, and really, gamers wouldn't be able to fight back against it. It says, though, the Crew did have a badge on its front box noting online connection required and a notice in the fine print on the back that Ubisoft may cancel access to one or more specific online features upon a 30-day prior notice, which 30 days is not nearly enough for gamers, in my opinion. I believe that it should be months upon months. I understand that a company wants to be able to shut down a game whenever the heck they feel like it, but first of all, we're not even asking for live service games to be this popular and this prominent. Most gamers have always fought back against live service titles. But to top all that off, it's like companies feel that when they launch a live service game, they can launch it in a very mediocre state. We're not talking about most live service games launching in a extremely solid state. Usually they're underdeveloped and they say, you know what, we'll just push it out and say, oh, there's a big content update coming in a month or a month and a half. They feel like that is acceptable, and of course it's not. But it's also not acceptable that they can rip away a product that you purchased whenever they feel like it. Now, here is his controversial statement, but this kind of issue is not specific to Ubisoft. All video game publishers are faced with that issue. You provide a service, but nothing is written in stone, and at some point the service may be discontinued. Nothing is eternal. And we are doing our best to make sure that things go well for all players and buyers, because obviously support for all games cannot last forever. And it is true that no game can be supported forever, but forcing companies into perpetual updates isn't what Stop Killing Games is all about. If they took 5 minutes to actually pay attention to what this movement was about and what the petition had said, they would know that that's not the case. The goal is to get publishers to implement an end-of-life plan to modify or patch the game so it can run on customer systems even after a server shutdown. People simply want to be able to access their purchase years down the line. We're not asking for constant updates. We're not asking for you to infinitely keep it alive and support it. We're just asking for you to either give us the tools or have some kind of plan in place. And we're not even talking about games that have already released. We're talking about games going forward. It's not like we're asking you to go through 100,000 freaking games that you guys have pumped out and to start updating ones from, 10 years ago. That's just not the case. And of course, all of these CEOs and these executives and developers are going to try to convince you that what you're asking for is unrealistic, when of course it's not. If you purchase a product, you should be able to use that product whenever you feel like accessing that product. It's just that simple. But of course, Yves Guillemot here is panicking right now. Ubisoft is falling apart. They're facing major backlash, and this is not going to help his image at all whatsoever. I don't even really know why he would decide to make this statement when he didn't initially have to. I get that it was at a shareholder meeting. Maybe he was specifically asked about it. Either way, though, it was just not a good response either, because it completely misrepresents what Stop Killing Games is all about. It's not about keeping a game infinitely supported. It's about preserving video games and preserving our purchases and protecting our purchases. And we're just asking for companies to show us a shred of respect, which of course they never want to do. So now the Ubisoft CEO is addressing Stop Killing Games after overseeing the deaths of titles like The Crew and X Defiant, saying support for all games cannot last forever, when that's not even what SKG is all about. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.